Yo, what's good? What's good? What is good? This is Jack and Ginger, episode 7. Is it episode 7? I don't know. I've been gone for like 5-6 months, man. So, a lot of people have been giving me shit. I've been in a creative funk, but I'm jumping back on the pod today just to say what's up, check in, see what's going on with everybody. So, hope everybody has been good. Of course, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to it on Spotify, whatever podcast platform you listen to, go ahead and subscribe. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, like it, comment, subscribe. So what's been going on with everybody? Hope everybody's been good. I just got back from Something in the Water last week. It was in DC. For y'all that don't know, Something in the Water is a festival thrown by H.E.R. Supposed to be annually, but I think it missed like a couple years. The first year was in Virginia Beach. I actually missed it, but I'm like, damn, it's in DC this year, so I'm going to pop up and see how it is. So honestly, man, it was cool. I got to break it down into a couple parts. So performance-wise, it was dope. Yeah, Pharrell was definitely the best performance of the week. He brought out Nori. He brought out T.I. I think T.I. brought out his son, Damani, who was dope. He brought out Justin Timberlake. And then the Clips, they did like a little mini reunion performance as well, which was dope as hell. There's a lot of other dope artists there too. Like Usher was there. Bia was there, who I like. I miss her. Somebody who I hadn't really paid much attention to, and I didn't really get to hear him perform really like that. But Blast was there. Who else was there? J Balvin was there. Tyler, the Creator, a bunch of other people. So the lineup was pretty dope in terms of like who they had there performing. The shitty part about it was the whole setup. So it was on, I'm guessing it was called the National Mall in DC, which is right, near like the White House and everything. But the way they had it set up, like it was such a tight space, and there was like, I think they estimated like 50,000 people was coming, but there was such a tight space and so many people was packed into one spot. It was just like, man, you fighting to get in and out of crowds and get to different performances and stuff. So like even the way they had the stages set up, like they had, when we first got there, Moneybagg Yo was performing, and he was on what they call the Sun stage, which was like the main stage. But there's another stage like right to the right of it, to where like if you weren't close enough to this stage, then you could hear the person next to you performing. I remember like the first night Usher was performing, and of course Usher was like the headliner for the night, but they had, I think, DeVito or whatever, I don't really know his music like that. He was performing at the same time on the stage to the right. So you hearing Usher like go through all of these hits, but you getting like all of this background noise in your ear. So yeah, that was a fail, man. So I think I even went on Twitter and like searched to see what everybody else was saying, to see like if I was tripping or whatever, but everybody was saying the same thing. Like, yo, you can't keep this in DC. The stage was terrible. The setup was terrible. Everything was bad. But not to bash Something in the Water. And I know he moved it from Virginia Beach for a good reason. I think his nephew was killed. I guess he couldn't work out something with the city. I'm not sure if he was working on police reform or whatever, but hopefully they can work something out and they can go back home to Virginia. I don't think it really belongs in DC like that. I know if it's back in DC next year, like I'm probably not gonna go. Like I enjoyed the music and the vibes with friends and shit, but it was just too packed in and the setup was all off. Damn, so I'm drinking Maker's Mark straight today. No ginger, light ice. Man, so yeah, like I said, Pusha T performed. He performed with Malice. I actually got to see Pusha T perform twice this week, and it was interesting, right? Just seeing him perform at a festival. Of course, when you go to a festival, like you don't really get to pick which artists are there, but whatever artist is there while you're there, you try to see their performance. So a lot of the people in the crowd is not going to necessarily be your fan base. So I noticed a big difference in his performance at Something in the Water. People were engaged or whatever, but I feel like it was a lot of people that was there that probably wasn't there to see Pusha T. And of course, they're not going to be as engaged as opposed to him performing on his own. Now, he was in Charlotte at the Fillmore on Wednesday this past week. and I went to see him, and it was like a totally different experience. Like I'm looking around as he's performing, and like everybody in the crowd is saying the words. They know like all the lyrics and shit. So it was a totally different performance. But yeah, that was dope to see. That's not the first time I seen Pusha perform, but that was the first time in a while that I've seen him perform. And I mean, speaking of Pusha T, I mean, I feel like he dropped the album of the year. Yeah, I think It's Almost Dry is probably the best album so far this year. I mean, y'all know I'm a big critic of music. Like I usually don't get too hyped up over certain stuff, but hey man, it could just be my Virginia bias. But I said it before, but Pusha is in my top five. This album definitely kept him in the top five. I feel like I think it's like 13, 12 songs or something like that. But to me, it's literally like no skips. Like I'm still rocking with the album weeks later. So, I mean, if I had to give it a score, shit, this may be unprecedented, but I gotta give him a five. I mean, to me, it was a flawless album. A lot of people say it's cool, but it's not his best. But shit, I mean, from what I've heard this year, it's probably the best album out. Another album that came out this week, or last week actually, was Drake's new album, right? And when I first heard the album, I was just sitting there like, what is this? You know, I thought like when I first started listening, I didn't know that it was supposed to be a techno album. I just considered it was just a regular album, a rap album or whatever. But as I'm going through the songs and I get to like song 2, 3, 4, I'm starting to figure out like, damn, this is kind of going in a different direction. So I've listened to the album at least like 3 or 4 times just because I ain't want to be like super critical and call it trash. But I'm like, man, maybe this is one of them albums that kind of got to grow on you or whatever. But even after listening to the album like 3 or 4 times, I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, I mean, I'm just being honest or whatever. But it's like 3 or 4 songs on there. I like, what's it called? Sticky. I like the joint he got with 21 Savage, Jimmy Cooks. I mean, that's probably the best song on the album. That pretty much like, in my opinion, I don't even want to say saves the album because I really don't think it's a good album anyway. But if I had to pick one song that was the best on the album, it would probably be that one. And even that one, it doesn't sound sonically like any other song on the album. So it kind of sounds like he went in this techno direction and then he stuck that song in at the end. I don't know if maybe because that was just the best song. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I can describe. But I mean, I don't hate the album. It's not one that I'll replay. Again, like I said, it's a good like 3 or 4 songs on it that I like. But other than that, I mean, this is one of them passes for me. Like I probably had to give it like a 2 on this one, which is rare for Drake. I feel like Drake, most of the time, you're going to get like a good, solid, average or above average album. And I feel like this may be the first album that he put out that may not really rock for too long, right? Like I don't see myself listening to this album a year from now. I don't see myself listening to this album 5 years from now or 10 or 20 years or even, hell, probably next month. But I mean, it's interesting to see on social media, like either people really love this album or they really hate it. Like I'm somewhere in between. Like I definitely, I'm more towards the realm of hating, even though I don't hate the album. I'm like, I don't really love it, but it's not something I'm going to replay other than those 3 or 4 songs. So, man, I feel like everything I'm talking about is like heavy music this week. But so in addition to going to Something in the Water, I went to Pusha T, which I talked about. Then I also went to see H.E.R this week, which is like one of my favorite R&B artists. I've said on the podcast before that Ashanti is the queen of R&B. And I think after seeing her, I'm bumping her up into that number 2 spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not quite the queen yet. Like, she's not there. But I got to give her the Princess of R&B title because, hell, I mean, she was so, like, versatile with her performance. Of course, she came out singing. Then she was on the piano, playing the piano. She played the bass. Hell, she played the guitar. I think at one point she played the drums. And another instrument, if I'm not mistaken or whatever. But yeah, man, like her, like not even low key, but her got a lot of hits. And it made me like just like really appreciate the music even more, seeing her perform it live. Because a lot of people, they can't really duplicate the song in person. You know what I'm saying? Like you listen to the song online or you listen to it on your phone and it sounds one way, but then you go to a performance live and you don't even recognize who the person is because they sound like trash. But her, I definitely would totally endorse her. Like she has probably risen to the top of the pile for me in terms of music. It was, to me, it was a flawless performance. Like, I'm definitely going to be looking forward to seeing her again. So, yeah. One other thing I seen this week, which is pretty much on brand for Kyrie Irving, is Kyrie is pissed off again, I guess, or the Nets are pissed off with him, one of the two, to the point where it looks like he's requested a trade, right? What I found interesting is the teams that he was interested in going to. So, one of the teams that pop up is the Lakers. You know what I mean? Like I happen to be a LeBron James fan. I feel like he is the second greatest player of all time. Shout out to MJ. LeBron is right there. I think he's gonna win like a couple more rings. Maybe when he win that sixth ring, I'll put him on the same level or just above MJ. But like I said, one of the teams that popped up that Kyrie wanted to go to potentially is the Lakers. Now I don't see how that package would work. I mean, essentially they would have to take Russell Westbrook and that contract. I think he's about to make like $42 million next year. I mean, I don't know who would want to do that unless they just plan on dumping it a year or two from now. Yeah, that would be interesting to see him team up with LeBron, right? Because him and LeBron, had issues in the past, or at least Kyrie had issues with, not being LeBron's little bro. But I feel like him going back or going to team up with the Lakers to be with LeBron would kind of be them mending everything. I think they've kind of made up from there or whatever. But, I mean, if they could somehow get Kyrie and keep AD in the process, a.k.a. street clothes, that's what Charles Barkley called him. That's not my nickname for him. But if they can keep AD and get Kyrie and dump Westbrook, man, I'm seeing a chip. I hate to say it, but I'm going to put it on wax. I'm seeing a chip for the Lakers if they can somehow get Kyrie. Now, that's if Kyrie comes and he's happy and, he's healthy and he's ready to play. But I think he should be motivated if he gets back with LeBron to go on another championship run. I mean, that was the last time only time he won a championship was when he teamed up with LeBron in Cleveland. So who knows what would have happened if he would have just stayed in Cleveland. Maybe they would have won 2 or 3 more, but we'll never know. But, yeah, man, it'll be interesting to see what move Kyrie makes. And also on the backside of that, like, how does that affect KD? Like, I heard or I seen articles, I think, where KD would, like, kind of mold his future going forward if Kyrie leaves. Of course, I would too if, the second best player on the team leaves. But I think that'll be, like, a big factor going forward as well to see what KD does. Because if Kyrie leaves, then he pretty much stuck there by himself. I mean, Ben Simmons is there, but who in the hell knows when Ben Simmons is going to suit up again. Yeah, man, so in my little break or when I was away, one of the guys that gets a lot of criticism from a lot of people passed away, right? And I'm talking about Kevin Samuels, right? Kevin Samuels, whenever anybody say that name, that's like a controversial name. Like, and an interesting thing was, like, when he passed away, just reading the comments, it made me realize, like, how crazy people are. Like, people was applauding his death. They were saying everything like good form. He died alone, which is what he told a lot of people that they would die alone. And I was just like blown away, bro. Like, when somebody passes, like, I don't care what type of feelings you got for them. Like, just move on, bro. Like, they're dead. Like, they gone. Like, I don't see what the point of, like, piling on and, talking shit about the person is. Now, I gotta say, I like Kevin Samuels because for me it was entertainment. Like, I never took it serious, and I agreed with some of the things that he said, not everything. I definitely didn't agree with, like, all the Big Shirley comments and all, like, the sound effects he would play, or even when, like, he would be, having a conversation with somebody and they would be a good conversation, and all of a sudden he'll start talking about, what's your dress size, what's your height, what's your age, how many kids you got, and you already knew the conversation was about to go left. But even with all that being said, like, to me it was entertainment, man. Like, a lot of people called up to his show and talked to him only to complain later. It's like, if you know this man talks a certain way to women, why do you keep subjecting yourself to that? And the funny thing is, like, he was actually giving the same energy to dudes as well. Like, one of the first clips I saw about him was him. He was talking to a dude, like, basically saying, like, hey, just because you think you deserve this doesn't mean you deserve this. You don't fit this certain criteria. And I think that's what a lot of people miss. Like, I think sometimes his delivery was wrong. I think sometimes the way he talked to people was wrong. But he was trying to get everybody to realize, like, hey, just because you feel like you deserve X, Y, and Z from your spouse or your opposite sex or whatever, does not mean that you deserve that, right? Like, you can't want somebody who's a millionaire and you don't make that type of money, or you're not even in line to do that. Or you can't want somebody who's a millionaire and you don't bring anything to the table at all, even if it's not financially. Like, I feel like that was basically his message, but in some of the commentary and, like I said, the sound effects and the talking down to women, which by no means I don't agree with at all, I think the message kind of got lost. But, it's still not a good look to down somebody when they pass away. Like, I just didn't understand that, and, that's just weird to me. That's just weird energy. Yeah, man, so I guess that'll do it for this week. I might pop back on here in a couple weeks. I've been working on some stuff that I want to do a special episode on, but I'll kind of keep it in the wraps too. I'm ready to set something up. But yeah, man, I appreciate it. Like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't already, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're watching this. And man, yeah, I appreciate it. So I'll talk to y'all soon.